For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Sashnee Moodley. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me for Suttner's View, a weekly commentary on South Africa's political scene. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
This week we saw violent clashes in Parliament, leading to and after the eviction of EFF members. How do you see this conflict unfolding?
Yeah, I think the South African public has got ambiguous attitudes towards this. On the one hand, people watch TV because they quite enjoy the clash and the fighting, because South Africa is a very macho country. They quite like fighting. And even people who are not at all interested in politics know about these things. And ordinary people in the street will talk about pay back the money and things like that. On the other hand, there's a response in relation to decorum, respect, and things like this. Now, the way I view it is I don't base my evaluation on notions like the honourable member and that you can't call someone a thief if they're charged with these things or they've lied about Nkandla and things like that. When I was in Parliament in 1994, we had a rules committee that was revising the rules, and we had actually decided that there would be a dropping of the word honourable. Secondly, that people didn't have to wear suits. They could wear whatever, as long as they were neat, they could wear jeans, anything. And somehow that has fallen by the wayside. And I think it's quite important to understand that when people resort to decorum and respect and all these words, there's sometimes a lack of an adequate way of dealing with the situation. On the one hand, the EFF has been very, very intent in conducting politics in a very dramatic way and holding the public's attention, holding rallies that draw huge crowds, apparently without a lot of effort, but they must obviously have prepared very well. Even, not just in Johannesburg, I saw pictures of a rally that they had in Queenstown about 2-3 days ago. Very big crowd, it seemed. And so it may well be that the EFF is going to increase its vote significantly, although we don't know how widespread it is, because in local government elections you have to contest in a number of places. I don't know if they're contesting everywhere, and I doubt whether they will do as well in every place. Certainly some provinces, they're not so strong. And I also think, on principle, the EFF is correct to be questioning the legitimacy of the president and his right to address the House, because the president has acted in conflict with his oath of office, and the ANC MPs have ensured that he's not held to account when they try to impeach him, and that the National Assembly chair, who has been complicit with the Assembly as a whole in not holding him to account, they've been correct on these things. The question really is, how does one respond? Is there going to be endless fighting with, if you watch the way in which the bouncers or security people came in this time, was much more aggressive than before. Now it's claimed that the EFF brought in one of Malima's bodyguards and weapons. We don't know. It's not been proved yet. But what we then are seeing, whether that's true or not, but certainly from the bouncers, and they say they're recruiting more, is that the level of violence is astonishing. I mean, it was, the way they ran across there into them was like going for the kill. And what I think the EFF has to ask, as the party who is trying to remedy something that is wrong, the DA says they want to be there because they want to hold the president to account. COPE has said they will simply withdraw from Parliament until clarity is given by the courts over why they are presided over by Mbete and why they have a president who is illegitimate addressing them. But the EFF has decided to take it on a confrontational route. And what Malima's been saying lately, I think he's maybe consciously echoing, or maybe unconsciously, the sort of things that Mandela said at the time when there was a turn to armed struggle, when he said, we have closed the book on, we've closed a chapter on non-violence in South Africa. Now, a lot of the time, the EFF have said, no, they're not saying that they're going to be violent. What they're saying is, if they are attacked violently or illegally, they will meet violence with violence. And I think it's not desirable that we have this sort of thing escalate. And I would myself appeal to the EFF to consider, where are they aiming to go to from this? Because they will not win a battle, physical battle. They will not win a physical battle, and I think there are many people in the ANC who would like to see them beaten to shreds physically. So I think it's important that they need to, they can be very imaginative. I think it's important that they find a way of avoiding this thing continuing along this route.
Towards what outcome do you see this process unfolding?
Well, you see, it seems like there's no compromise on both sides. And on the side of the EFF, I think we need to understand that the EFF, despite being calling itself a revolutionary party, it also is quite macho. It wears military uniforms. It calls its leader the commander-in-chief. Others are called commissars. All are called fighters. The fighters have gone here, the fighters have gone there. And I think when they fight it out, apparently very bravely in the House, it appeals to something in the macho culture of South Africa, because South Africans are very quick to resolve issues through force rather than logic. And I would appeal to the EFF to actually think about this, to ask themselves whether they want to fight it out or whether they can find a way of appreciating the importance of peace, because we fought very hard in South Africa to end the bloodshed. Leadership, what is needed now is leadership on all sides. Leadership understands that there's a time to fight and there's a time for peace. I want to appeal to the EFF leadership to recognize that they are not going to win this now, and that it does not achieve a great deal to undermine respect for a peaceful way of resolving issues. I'm not saying they started this conflict and things like that. All I'm saying is that insofar as it's within their power to find another route of dealing with this, I would suggest that it's important that they do.
Thank you, Professor. That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about the EFF in Parliament and beyond.